Creager. What I do is I help couples and individuals heal from trauma such as infidelity. I'm saying this first because that is going to be the topic of what I'll be talking about today. I also help couples rekindle passion. So anyway, the name today of my discussion with you is Betrayal Trauma: How to Process It and Heal from It. I'm going to talk about the word processing because that's actually essential to healing. And like I said, I work with couples and individuals. Some people where they've been a victim of betrayal, they decide to continue to work on their relationship, their committed relationship. Some choose not to, and they have to move on. Or sometimes the person who betrayed chooses not to. In all those cases, I want to help people process and heal. I want to start talking about the situation where a couple, one of the partners betray the other, and they, at least for the moment, is choosing to work on the relationship. Or maybe they even they know they want to stay together, they just got to process it. That's one type of situation. Sometimes we don't know if we want the relationship, but as long as you're not willing to give up on it, this part of my discussion pertains to you. The most important thing when there's betrayal is, I'll say two things. One is for the betrayed person to look inside and go, what was behind it? That is not the topic of my conversation, but that's got to be very important. The other thing is for the betrayed person to be able to share whatever feelings they have. I have a couple I'm working with currently where there was cheating, and it was emotional cheating on the part of the woman 10 years ago. But there hasn't been an opportunity to process it. He hasn't been able to share his feelings because maybe it would just make her feel bad, and she has her reasons. You know, he played a part in the problems of the marriage, even though, as I've always said, the person who cheated is 100% responsible for their choices. But he has not been able to process his pain. So now they're coming to me 10 years later, still stuck. So in that particular case, the betrayal is problem one, but they're not processing it is problem 1A. That's very, very important. So the person who betrayed has to be willing to hear all the feelings of the person that was betrayed. One of the things I've found in these situations is that the betrayed person has some issues too. I'm about to contradict myself. I do that sometimes when I'm talking. This is going to be a little bit of the topic of conversation for this, that the betrayed person also has to process the feelings, what was underlying it. I mean, who this person really is. That processing is actually going to help the betrayed person as well, because you have two people that are going deeper. And so the key to processing is to go deeper, is to get to know each other more. So, like I said, I'm revising my initial statement that I'm not talking about the betrayed person stuff, but we do the person who betrayed person stuff, but the person who was betrayed will actually have a higher chance of relaxing and calming down when they understand what was going on with the other person. So it is a two-way processing. My thinking at first, and this happens to me sometimes when I start doing these things, I go, wait, I have a better idea. Okay? But of course, still, my original thought is it is very important for the betrayed person, like the man in my example, to be able to share feelings and share it often. To share it often. One way to get over the betrayal trauma is to be able to have a partner who will really listen and be mature and not reactive or defensive or say, how many times do I have to hear the same thing? Well, maybe many. It takes a while. And so the big part here, if you're wanting to work it out with your partner, is that the partner's got to be involved in helping you process your feelings. And then what I'm adding to it, which is a revision of my initial statements, is that part of the processing of the betrayed person has to also include understanding more deeply what was going on with this person who betrayed me. There's this disorientation, like when you're blindsided by this discovery. So I would say if there's an order of things, and I think that maybe there is usually, is that you want the betrayed person to go first, to be able to process, and the person who betrayed to be there and listen. It's very difficult sometimes to do this well alone. That's where someone like me can come along and help the couple stay on track and not go down the rabbit hole of their defenses, of their blaming, of their reactivity, and instead get to what's really going on and to tune into each other. Now, the complicated fact of that, by the way, is that many of us have come from families where we weren't tuned into as a child, that the parents couldn't regulate themselves emotionally well enough to just be there for us. It's not always the case, of course, but it oftentimes is the case. And so now we have this crisis that happens and we don't have a clue how to do this without being defensive. So we want to read a lot about it. We want to work with someone like myself. We want to do everything we can so that I could share my feelings in a way that makes you really able to truly hear me and to hear you in a way that encourages you to keep talking to me. So that's one aspect of processing that's absolutely crucial. If you find that you can't do this, that you're finding that, like this man, that you can't, you're not being heard, that you're hearing a whole lot of excuses and defenses and things like that, that's when you need to talk to someone like myself. Then there is the other situation where the person saying, I don't want this. I'm disillusioned. I don't want to be with someone that'll do that to me. And that's valid as well. As a person in my shoes, I always honor the decisions of the person who was betrayed. I think that the best thing anyone can do, friends, family, whatever, is to not let your opinions override what's going on with the other person, the betrayed person. It's complicated. So if you're in that category where you have decided it's time to move on, then you want to also surround yourself with people, maybe a therapist like myself, or as well as family and friends that you can talk to. So once again, there's this interpersonal kind of processing. In a little while, I'm going to talk about another kind of processing, but interpersonal processing is very crucial. Having someone there to help you through that is crucial. If you are moving on from your partner, it still might be that person. If that person can handle it, if you guys are going to handle things in a mature enough way, even if you're going to divorce, it might be helpful to be able to process it with your partner. But if that person is not willing or they've moved on, I've had a couple of clients right now where the betrayed person ended up being with the betrayer ended up being with the affair partner. And then, of course, that's not a good person to share with. You want to deal it with feelings, with your pain, with people that really will be there for you, family, friends, someone like myself. Now, I have to share with you another kind of processing that's also important, and that is intrapsychic processing, if you want to call it. It's the processing within you. So there's processing between you and another person that will help you heal. Processing, when we say processing, what we're really trying to say is we go through it. We go through our experiences of it and get to the other side. So interpersonal processing will help you do it. Talking to somebody else, with someone who's there, whose intent is to tune into you. The other time of processing is between yourself, the parts of you. There's parts of you that are wounded, that are betrayed. There are parts of you that are angry, that want revenge. There are parts of you that are hurt. But there's also parts of you that a person like myself could help you access. That's healthier. There's parts of you that are nurturing. You also have people in your life that are nurturing that when I talk about this kind of internal processing, that you take their resources inside of you. And so I do a process that I've talked about called eye movement desensitization and reprocessing, which is a way of, it's a wonderful way of helping a person heal so that they can move on, so that they're not stuck in the past. They don't see the betrayal as a good thing, but they are not caught up in the pain of it. I have a woman I've been working with where her fiance cheated on her, and then she, and he ended up being with one of the affair partners, I would say, that he had, and we did some EMDR processing, and she said something so beautiful to me. This is what she said. She said, after this processing, I found out when I focused on the negative aspects of the infidelity, of the cheating, of how I was treated, of the secret, I could remember, I could see it to some degree, but there was no negative feeling. It was gone. But when I thought of the positive, which sometimes keeps people stuck from moving on, she says, but when I see the positive of our relationship, because we had some beautiful, beautiful experiences, that good, loving feeling just motivates me to once again get out in that crazy, absurd dating world. So it was a beautiful end result, and I see this kind of thing when people do this processing. And she's done interpersonal processing, but also the EMDR with me, I think, really helped her through a lot of this as well. That's a beautiful sort of encapsulation of what happens sometimes, that the person is free. So, of course, that is someone where you need someone like me that does that as well. So there is hope for those that have been betrayed. It can be very traumatic, and it can be leading to post-traumatic stress where you just get the same feelings over and over, and you're obsessing on the memories, or keeps you up at night, or this negative belief about yourself just continues to permeate you. So the good news here is that you can move past that. And that's the purpose of my talking with you today. Interpersonal, whether you're going to stay with a partner or move on, as well as in EMDR processing. This is the style that I use to help people process within themselves so that these parts of themselves can integrate and liberate. And of course, I do that with people that stay in the relationship as well, just as much. I do that to have both the interpersonal and the internal kinds of processing are both important. So that's what I wanted to say about that. There's a lot more blogs and videos and articles that I have on that. There's all kinds of good material I have. There's a program I have called the Infidelity Cure. Just check all that out. All that might be very, very helpful. This is Todd Creager, making the world safe for love.